My name is Durga Kumar and my metric card number is 822A1102. Our group decided to choose Heineken Malaysia Berhad and Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad Company. We have collected the annual reports for these companies in 2019, 2020 and 2021 to do financial analysis. The method of analyzing the final data is to use 14 financial ratios to calculate all the ratios from the data in the financial statements and do a 3-year trend analysis by using horizontal analysis and vertical analysis. Horizontal analysis is used to review a company's financial statements and compare year-of-year ratios. Vertical analysis to show insight into the relative importance of promotion of various items on the financial statements of a particular year by comparing the ratio for both companies from year to year. Next is business nature of Heineken Malaysia Berhad and Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad. Heineken Malaysia's history in the country dates back to 1964 and the company's shares have to be listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia since 1965. The company's name was changed to Heineken Malaysia Berhad on 21 April 2016 following Heineken and this acquisition of Diego Stocks in GAPL in October 2015. Heineken Malaysia employs more than 500 people at our headquarters and brewery in Petaling Jaya, Selangor. We believe it is critical to be responsible in order to be sustainable and take our responsibility to their people, planet and performance seriously. Next is Carlsberg Malaysia. Carlsberg Malaysia Berhad was incorporated in December 1969 and this company are the dynamic brewer with operations in Malaysia and Singapore with stocks in the brewer in Sri Lanka. The company ex-Prometel 600 strong workforce sell our products in a responsible manner within our sustainability-driven business. The Carlsberg trio is complemented by international beer brew including France Premium Wheat Beer 1664 Blend, 1664 Rose, Japan's #1 Premium Beer, Asahi Super Dry, European Cider, Somersby, British Inspired Corner Stout, Water, Drought as.
Hello, my name is Ravana Sylvia Robin. My metric is A to the A0548. Next, I would like to present horizontal analysis. Its current ratio in 2019, Heineken have ability to cover its current liability with its current asset was 0.94 times. In 2019, the ratio decreased to 0.69 times, while in 2021, the ratio decreased to 0.62 times. It showed that 2019 was more able to cover its current liabilities with its current asset due to the highest ratio among 3 years. Okay, next quick ratio. Heineken get lowest quick ratio in 2021, which is 0.46 times, and 4 years. In 2022, they got 0.55 times, and in 2019, they got highest ratio among 3 years, 0.77 times. Okay, next average total cost in 2022, the lowest average total asset of Heineken is 1.21 times. In 2022, the average total asset of Heineken was 1.40 times, and 2019, the highest average total asset is 1.63 times. Okay, next operating profit margin. The Heineken operating profit margin in 2021 was achieved the highest, which was 19.37 times. The operating profit margin of Heineken in 2019 was the lowest, which is 43.73% and 8.73% in 2022. It showed that the company had to improve in managing its cost of sale to achieve the high operating profit margin. Okay, next is debt ratio. Heineken get lowest debt ratio in 2019, which is 48.3%, and 4 years 2022 they got increased to 66.70%, and in 2021 the debt get decreased back into 60.00%. Among the 3 years, the company had lower amount of debt on capital structure in 2019 because that year achieved lower ratio of debt to finance asset. Okay, next the interest earned. The interest earned increased in 2019, which is 132.18 times, and 2020 decreased into 11.47 times, and it increased back into 5.18 times on 2021. 2029 is the highest time interest earned of interest expenses. Okay, next is return on equity. The return on equity of Heineken was increased on 2019, which is 142.72%. In 2022, the return on equity was decreased to 48.44%, and it increased back in 2021 into 97.43%. Among compared to 3 return on equity, 2019 get the highest return on equity. Okay, next is gross profit margin. The Heineken gross profit margin was increased in 2020, which is 3.75%, and directly decreased in 2019, which is 4.23%. The gross profit of margin in 2021 is 3.71%. It shows that the company had to improve in managing its cost of sale to achieve the high gross profit margin. Okay, next the profit margin. The next profit margin of Heineken was higher, which is 30.52% in 2020. The next profit margin is decreased on to 7.5%, and 2021 the ratio increased back to 19.79%. The company have more chance to make more efficient at converting sales into actual profit. Okay, next is debt equity. The debt equity was increased on 2022, which is 194.70%. That in 2019 the debt equity get decreased 93.54%. In 2019 the lowest debt equity, which 93.54%. Okay, next is account receivable turnover. The account receivable turnover of Heineken in 2019 is 8.78 times. In 2020, the ratio was increased to 19.90 times, then decreased again in 2021, which is 18.72 times. As compared to 3 years, the company had high effectiveness of account receivable to generate sales was on 2022 because it achieved the highest ratio in that year. Okay, next is return on asset. In 2019, the return on asset shows the ratio is 73.73%. In 2022, the ratio decreased to 16.27%, which while in 2021 decreased back into 38.97%. Compared to 3 years, 2019 get the highest rate of return. Okay, next is average collection period. The average collection period of Heineken on 2019, 41 days, and 2020, which is 18 days. In 2021, the period of average collection of Heineken is 19 days.
My name is Virendra Vijay. My metric number is A22A0817. Today I would like to talk about horizontal analysis for Carlsberg Company. We use 14 financial ratios to analyze these companies. Current ratio. In 2019, Carlsberg had ability to cover its current liabilities with its current asset was 0.4 times. In 2020, the ratio decreased to 0.3 times, while in 2021, the ratio decreased to 0.36 times. It shows that 2019 was more able to cover its current liabilities with its current asset due to the highest ratio among 3 years. Secondly, quick ratio. Carlsberg had the lowest quick ratio in 2019, which is 0.05 times, and for the year 2020, they got 0.818 times, and in 2018, they got highest ratio among the 3 year, that is 0.20 times. Thirdly, average total assets. In 2019, the lowest average total asset of Carlsberg is 0.55 times. In 2020, the average total asset of Carlsberg was 2.10 times, and in 2021, the highest average total asset is 8.23 times. Fourth ratio is operating profit margin. The Carlsberg operating profit margin in 2019 was the lowest, which is 15.88%. In 2020, the operating profit margin increased to 17.47 and continuously increased to 18.71% in 2021. Next, debt ratio. Carlsberg debt ratio in 2019 was the highest, which is 62.61%. Debt ratio in 2020 is 37.88%, and debt ratio in 2021 is 36.81%. Among these 3 years, the company had the lower amount of debt on capital structure in 2020. Next, time interest earned. The Carlsberg time interest earned in 2019 was 9.53 times. The ratio achieved the highest in 2020, which is 37.95 times, as well as decreased softly to 32.30 times in the year of 2021. As compared to 3 years, the company had high effectiveness of inventory to generate sales on 2020 because it achieved the highest ratio in that year. Return on equity. The return on equity for Carlsberg Company was 16.24% in 2019 and it increased to 40.20% in 2020 and softly decreased to 37.12% in 2021. The company had higher return to shareholders in 2020 because it achieved the highest ratio among the 3 years. Lastly, gross profit margin. The Carlsberg gross profit margin was decreased steadily from 2019 until 2021. They got the highest gross profit margin, which is 49.53% and decreased to 1.45% in 2020. The gross profit margin at 2021 is 0.17%. It showed that the company had to improve in managing its cost of sales to achieve the profit margin. For the net profit margin, in 2019, the net profit margin of Carlsberg was lowest, which is 11.35% in 2020. The net profit margin increased to 17.56%, and in 2021, the ratio increased to 19.15%. The company has been efficient at converting sales into actual profit. Next, the fixed asset turnover ratio. The Carlsberg fixed asset turnover in 2019 was 2.36 times. The ratio increased softly in 2020, which is 5.37 times, and decreased to 4.52 in 2021. As compared to 3 years, the company had higher effectiveness of fixed asset to generate sales was 2020 because it is achieved the highest ratio in that year. Next, the debt to equity ratio. The debt equity was decreased from 2019 to 2021. The ratio at 2019 is 167.45% and decreased to 61% in 2020. In 2021, they got the lowest debt to equity ratio, which is 58.27%. Lastly, the account receivable turnover ratio. The account receivable turnover of Carlsberg in 2019 is 12.34 times. In 2020, the ratio was increased to 30.89 times, but the ratio decreased again in 2021, which is 21.13 times. As compared to 3 years, the company had high effectiveness of account receivable to generate sales was on 2020 because it is achieved the highest ratio in that year. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Saran Ganapati. My metric card number is A22A0321. I'm going to continue present horizontal analysis for the company Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad. The next ratio will be return on asset. In 2019, the return on asset shows the ratio 6.07%. In 2020, the ratio increased to 24.97%, while in 2021, it is dropped to 23.46%. Thus, in 2020 shows the highest rate of return compared to the 3 years. Next ratio is average collection period. The average collection period of Carlsberg in 2019 was 29 days, while 2020 is 12 days, and in 2021 the period of average collection of Carlsberg is 18 days. Next, I'm going to present the vertical analysis for the company Heineken Berhad Malaysia and Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad. The first ratio is current ratio. Heineken got a higher ratio, which is 0.62 times. reflect to ability to pay its short-term obligation on the time compared to Carlsberg 0.36 times. Secondly, quick ratio. For a quick ratio, Heineken got a higher, which is 0.46 times, compared to Carlsberg is 0.20 times. This is mean the firm should have the ability to pay its liability more. Thirdly, average total asset. Carlsberg got a higher ratio, which is 8.23 times compared to Heineken, which is 1.31 times. Compared to average total asset, Carlsberg is higher than Heineken total asset. Besides that, operating profit margin ratio, Heineken got a higher ratio, which is 19.37 compared to the Carlsberg is 18.71%. The operating profit margin, Heineken got the highest profit. Next, debt ratio, Heineken got a higher ratio, 60%, reflect the higher amount of debt to finance asset compared to Carlsberg is 36.81%. Next, I'm going to present the vertical analysis for the company Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad. Next ratio is time interest earned. Heineken got a higher ratio, 65.18% compared to Carlsberg, which is 32.30 times. Heineken time interest earned is higher than Carlsberg. Next ratio is return on equity. Heineken got a higher ratio, which is 97.43%, indicate higher return to shareholders compared to the Carlsberg, which is 37.12%. Next, I'm going to present gross profit margin. Heineken got a higher ratio, which is 3.71%, indicate higher contribution margin compared to Carlsberg, which is 0.17%. My next ratio is fixed asset turnover. Carlsberg got a higher ratio, 4.52 times, reflect the effectiveness of fixed asset to generate sales compared to the Heineken. They got 1.97 times. And lastly, the debt to equity ratio. Heineken got a higher ratio, 150.04%, reflect the higher amount of debt to Carlsberg compared to the Carlsberg, which is 58.27%.
Hi, my name is G10. My metric number is A22A0576. So today I'm going to present my part, which is vertical analysis. Carlsberg Brewery Malaysia Berhad. Account receivable turnover. Carlsberg got higher ratio is 21.13 times. Reflect the effectiveness compared to Heineken is 18.72 times. Return on asset. Heineken got higher ratio is 38.97 times. Reflect the effectiveness compared to Carlsberg is 23.26 times. Average collection period. Heineken got a higher ratio 19 days. Reflect the effectiveness of daily sales compared to Carlsberg in 80 days. Thank you. Okay, the next part is recommendation. Current ratio and working capital are liquidity measures. The capacity of a company to satisfy its financial commitments when they are become due is known as must have enough money to pay all rebates, leaving it for the family, taxes and operational costs on the time. The next is the operation can improve the current ratio and liquidity by reducing the personal draw on the company, looking to see if any terms loans can be automized, selling any capital asset they are giving the company a profit. Total asset turnover. The asset turnover ratio is a metric that reveals how well a business used its own asset to produce income or sales. To determine how many sales were produced from each and earlier of firm's asset. The ratio compares the gross revenue of the company to the arranged total number of assets. The more assets are used effectively by the organizer, the greater the asset ratio. Okay, the last part, which is conclusion. As a result of our analysis of the company annual report, the ratios, we can conclude the Heineken Sdn Berhad Malaysia at the better financial ratio analysis and the trend analysis. Based on the above ratio analysis table, Heineken got a higher ratio, 30.52%, indicate better income to shareholders compared to Carlsberg is 11.35% in 2019. Carlsberg got a higher ratio, 17.56%, indicate better income to shareholders compared to Heineken is 7.95% in 2020. Heineken got a higher ratio, 19.79%, indicate better income to shareholders compared to Carlsberg is 19.15%. There are various suggestions to how both business might exchange their financial management and generate more revenue. Control overhead costs first. Both business must examine their expenses for things like labor, professional fees, marketing and rent. Cut return of to them short term. Spending immediately decreases. The money might also be used to keep the company running. Thank you.